Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we are going to be talking Season 4, Episode 7, Mockingbird. And joining me today, as always, is Johnny B. Crazy, aka Johnny B. Baelish. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Sasa. This episode was full of Baelish, which, episode was okay. It was a pretty solid episode, but it doesn't rank up there. Still a fun one to talk about. We do get a lot of Littlefinger, even though my voice is a little off today. Johnny B under the weather slightly, so Johnny B. Baelish may not be on point. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Episode number 7, one of my favorite numbers. I have a couple, don't ask why. Very good banter in this episode, but also a little bit of cringiness at certain parts, which maybe you need, but the whole Daario and Dany thing just kills me here. Yeah, sorry for ranting already. Hashtag rant a rant.
No, it's okay. So, yeah, we've made it through 47 episodes of Game of Thrones. Woohoo! So we just have to go through the rest of them to get in time for April 14th. But we will get there. So, this episode is called Mockingbird, and we'll find out why at the end. So, we begin this episode basically with Tyrion and Jaime having a conversation about the trial, feeling that Jaime is the golden son, and what they could have been as brothers, as well as we find out who Cersei has chosen to represent, I guess, Joffrey or the crown in Tyrion's trial by combat. So, what did you feel about this?
Really good scene with the brothers. Tyrion kind of reveling in the fact that he was able to rub it in Tywin's face one last time, kind of. And Jaime kind of chastises him about Shay. She's a whore. But you can argue, especially in the books, Cersei sleeps around, man. And Jaime's in the same plight. So I see the irony of this scene a little more than maybe if you haven't read the books, there's a little more irony in the scene. And it's tough, especially the look on his face when Jaime knows he can't fight for Tyrion. Will he in the future? Maybe not. They didn't build up his fighting style too much, but hey, who knows? This is Game of Thrones. He could be practicing as we speak. There's plenty of off-camera time. This may be kind of a nod to Mirren Trant dying too. I hope it's Mirren Trant. He deserves to die, and then this is someone Arya kills later. I'm gonna be on the lookout for people that Tyrion want dead that Arya kills. Because also, could Tyrion kill the Mountain? Would that be something in his capability? Yeah. Could there be there would have to be another parlay, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe for him to get close. I don't think he'll go down there on his own volition, right?
No, there's always that conversation that Cersei and Tyrion had alone. It wasn't even on screen for the second half of it, so there could be something about that. So maybe, who knows? But yeah, my kind of quick thoughts on this is that this is another one of our final scenes with these two for pretty much until season 7, and yeah, it's Jaime being called the Golden Son, which is very true. Like, there's nothing that Jaime could have done in the eyes of Tywin that was wrong, maybe besides his special relationship with Cersei.
Hold on, I just thought about it. The Golden Son, right? Mm-hmm. So, will Jaime convince the Golden Company to turn on Cersei?
You could say that.
There's a few hints there. The Golden Hand, him possibly having to be exiled for his crimes and being spared his life. Because literally, I mean, the things he's done can't really be excused as laws go. He has to be punished somehow. Some people think he's going to be the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. I don't know about all that. He could get exiled, especially in the books if he lives. Ooh, that would be. And that's how kind of the Lannisters, how Jaime lives on through like his own sellsword company that he makes, maybe. I don't know. Just a thought. I was doing Torrhen Stark, and lots of the bannermen for Torrhen Stark kind of went and made a complete different, like a sellsword company over across the narrow sea. It was the the Company of the Rose. That's what it was. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, done ranting.
Sorry, it's not out of the realm of possibility that this could happen. Like we have the idea floating around that potentially Tyrion will face another trial by combat because George likes to write with threes, and threes are very important. So I feel like if he does betray Dany or Jon or something like that, that there could be a third trial, or they see that something that he's done is treasonous. There could be another one of those, because there stands to reason why he's already had two, and he's successfully, like, I guess you could say, passed or lived those two. But what's that old baseball term? One strike, two strikes, three strikes, you're out. So it's like, so yeah, it could be something, and especially because they're talking about who he's going to be fighting, which is revealed that it's the Mountain. Yeah, Tyrion doesn't think he has the best odds, which he doesn't, especially because he doesn't have anybody who's volunteered to fight for him.
No, and his main hope has just said no. And his second choice, we're about to see what's going to happen there.
Did you? I know you kind of talked a bit about this before the stream, but you said that this was potentially like not even proper training for the Mountain.
Okay, so look it up. Yeah, okay, he is training here, and this is not good. This is poor training. This will actually make you a worse fighter. If you, for instance, in jiu-jitsu, someone who teaches a lot of white and blue belts as a black belt and hasn't sparred with a lot of brown and black belts in a while will be a lot worse than normal because they don't have to fight. They don't have to struggle in a lot of positions that they would have to when someone's good enough to actually challenge them. So the Mountain has no challenge here. They don't even have weapons in hand. So I don't understand really, other than this is just kind of a shock factor, especially for the show. But it doesn't help the Mountain fight in any way, shape, or form. He might as well just be cutting up pigs or hay. I mean, there's nothing there, just meat sacks. They're not even they didn't even rickon and run in a straight line, much less zigzag.
Yeah, I feel like this is just to show, I guess, how powerful the Mountain is, and just give us some shock value. Also, too, because it's HBO, kind of gives some grime and a little bit of blood in this episode, because there isn't that much violence really that happens in this episode.
That's fair. But what about 3 prisoners of war? Hey, let's give them some old armor from the weapons locker. Let's give them a sword. Let's give me a challenge. The Mountain knows he's going to win. So let's just, why doesn't he actually practice? I would have rather saw that. But hey, it was still pretty cool. This guy's a beast in real life. And actually, as we will see later, I'll talk about this a little more. When he crushes Oberyn's head and skull, he actually has the strength to do that in real life. They tested it. And he can do that to an actual human person. Just think about that. And this is the second strongest man in the world, you know, that competes. But still, that's a feat.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, that's a scary dude. And his wife's like 4 foot tall. I don't know how that works.
Is Arya and the Hound.
Half-Björ Julius Björnsson. I know I just butchered it. I'm sorry, I had to tell you that. Look at this where you pause for that. That looks like a cartoon. Maybe like Mr. Magoo. That's who this guy looks like right there. Just right there. Oh, this is a crazy scene too. I'll let you talk for a minute though, because I've been going nuts.
Okay. So in this scene, we see Arya and the Hound see and come upon an injured man who was seemingly attacked, but Arya and the Hound kind of calm him down, try to make him feel better before ultimately taking his life. So, and then there's the other part where the Hound gets attacked himself. So, what did you feel about this
Well,
sequence?
the old man reiterates balance, that there needs to be fair exchange and fair trade when he's talking to the Hound. But it also seemingly has a double meaning. He talks about the world being unbalanced. And I believe that's what this ultimately is all about, is balancing out this cruel world and starting over is what we'll see in season 8. And Arya, with her classic no one line, nothing is better than nothing, nothing isn't better or worse than anything. Nothing is just nothing. And that's even scarier to me. Nothing. But more evidence that she becomes a faceless man, which she kind of does already, but she never lets go of Needle. She's going to have to return to the House of Black and White or escape with her ass somewhere. She can't stay as Arya Stark of Winterfell, period. She's going to have to either change her face and be someone else to run away or go back and serve. Look at that. Look at them dead eyes.
Yeah, I feel like there was if they don't kind of bring the faceless men back into the fold, I guess you could call it that, back into the storyline on season 8, then it kind of changes the end of Arya's storyline and Arya's character almost, because it just seems like, oh, so she just went to Bravos just to train how to be a killer, it's just a killer. Like they have to kind of show the show watchers that the Iron Bank is not not the Iron Bank, the Faceless Men are not just something that you can just go to for summer camp. Like they're a summer camp thing where you just go for 1 year and it doesn't matter. Or you go for a couple months, doesn't matter. Afterwards, if you went or stayed or left, they have to kind of show us that, because if they don't, then it's just like, well, then what was the whole point of her season 5 story arc? They could have just done what they did with Bran with Arya almost, and just did a couple scenes of a montage of her becoming this warrior almost, but they didn't. So, but in terms of this specific scene, it just shows kind of how the Hound uses a little bit of interpersonal skills just to then be knocked down pretty much by saying that he has his own value, just as the gold stags that are given to him, given to the people that want to kill the Hound. So, yeah. What do you feel about how the Hound feels about how pretty much he has now a tag on his head in terms of if he's being killed or not?
I think he honestly takes it as almost an honor. It puts more pressure on him as well, though, and you can see it here, him getting frustrated later on in the episode. And, he's taken off guard here too. He seemingly let his guard down at a time when he shouldn't, and I believe Biter gets him in the books, but it's Rorg who bites him in the show here, or Rorge, whatever he wants to call himself. And this does happen uh, in the books, isn't it? And it's something very keen and real, something that Germ does well, something as much as a bite from another person with bacteria that can take down a big a man as any, right? We hear of mosquitoes killing people and flies killing people here, so all these threats are real. He could get an infection from a cut, but here he gets bit by a nasty ass mofo. And Arya gets to use needle properly, so to speak. She does the same move she pulled on the Hound last week. The last 52 times. No. But yeah, I thought it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just shows that the Hound can kind of be easily taken down, because usually the Hound is just shown as this really strong person who most people tower against, like your tower, like scurry away in fear. But now that he's kind of been injured, that there be something that's to do with his character. And as we know, by the end of the season, he does get weaker and is defeated. So it's just the beginning of that part of his character. So the next scene that we have is Jon and the Brothers of the Night's Watch, who were involved at Craster's Keep, return to the Wall with Ghost. And Jon talks about the wildlings and sealing the tunnel, and Jon is given now a specific duty along with his BFF, Sam. So, what do you feel about this?
I got Jon gets a bunch of scheduled dates with his lover, Sam, Sam the Slayer. It's not a bad gig. Your punishment is to get to hang out with your best friend. It's on the fucking top of the wall. Yeah, it sucks ass, but it could be worse. And Jon, it's hard to say whether they should have did this. They wouldn't have lost Grin maybe, and now you say, yeah, they should have did it because the Night King isn't coming through Castle Black. We have seen some shots though that go along down the wall, so it makes me wonder what the Night King's actual motivations are here, and are they going to tie it in with the 13th Lord Commander? I don't know if we've heard any damn thing in the show about that. It makes me wonder. I think we'll see what we see. The shots of the wall is going to be Tormund and Barrett getting away, and it's going to be Bran watching right through the crows. But here, I guess they should have listened to him. But Alistair Thorne has the right of it for the most part, even though he's an asshole about it. Also, Yarwick even concurs here, but it's not a bad thought Jon had, and it would have saved Grin, right? And also, it's Donnell Noy in the books who dies in the tunnel, I believe, instead of Grin.
Because Grin is still alive in the book, correct? Yeah. Yeah, this scene, especially because I couldn't go back to the scene with Ghost, but Alistair Thorne wants Hop to serve Ghost in the stew, which it would have been like the worst ending for the direwolves, like ever. But yeah, it was just kind of just like, ooh. But with this scene, you can see that Jon is really showing his leadership. He showed it before, but now he's really turning into the leader that he's supposed to be. Like Maester Aemon has been telling him he's supposed to be. So,
Janos Slant gets sassy too.
And yeah, Janos Lynch's like giants. Uh, Janos Lynch is just an idiot, and he doesn't deserve to have like the long life that he had almost. But yeah, Alistair Thorne shows his authority because he is interim leader of the Night's Watch. But yeah, this is just painful almost to watch with Alistair Thorne. It's like, but John, and even Gren sticks up with it, like, yeah, like, what are we going to do against all of these wildlings? It's like, you haven't fought the wildlings recently, so it's like, But yeah, if they had to build the tunnel, then the episode for in two episodes from now wouldn't have been, I don't think, as epic. But
The only difference would have been was Mag the Mighty dying. They would have still tried to get in there, and once open, they would have found it blocked off. So, yeah, it would have stopped, that cool scene. Even though, if you think about it, we didn't get a scene. It cut to black right before everything happened. So, whatever.
now we're talking about logistics of the TV show. But yeah, Sam and John having a night guard duty is kind of funny because this is again where they have them bond again because they've been separated for a while, so they need to have some more bromance moments on the show. Yeah, that's all I have for this scene. It's another quick one. Anything else before we go to Tyrion and Bronn?
Ron's a fancy lad now. Went to fancy lad school.
For fancy
All
folk?
that stuff. He got his dove's-skin gloves made fresh from the ones Joffrey killed at the wedding when cutting the pie. Yeah. If no one notices, a few of those doves were murdered during the cutting of that pie. I don't know if any real animals were hurt during the making of this, so I can't say that or anything. But I do think it's tough for Bronn. You can see him toying with it, but he's smart and he understands that even if he does fight for Tyrion and win, he still probably get assassinated. He's still got to look over his shoulder. It's best for him to take this now, lay low, as he does, like the quick, slick cat he is. Hashtag Reigns. But I don't know. It's just tough, especially Tyrion knowing that he doesn't really have anyone to fight for him at this point. The people he can turn to can't help him, and yeah, well, Tyrion had to fight the mountain at some point, which I think will be funny. But go ahead.
Who knows? But yeah, this is where already Bronn's talking about castles. So in season 4, people, is when Bronn really starts to want his castles. But he talks about how his wife is Lolas Stokeworth, which we've never heard. Lolas Stokeworth, which I don't think ever seen in the show a sigil for this house or something. But it's a.
I was just gonna say it's really close to King's Landing. I don't remember the sigil. That's a good. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. And he's basically like, no, I'm going to be married. I can't fight for you. I'm not going to go against the mountain and fight for you. I already did that once before. And I can't, live my life on golden gratitude, pretty much. So, yeah. This is where, at this point in the show, I'm just kind of like, what's the purpose of Bronn? There's literally after season 4, it's like, what's the purpose of Bronn besides that one scene that he has? I think he's not even in pretty much the entirety of season 5 until he has to go to Dorne to rescue Marcella.
He's the trusty sidekick.
But
Don't you worry about it.
but he literally has like no. He doesn't. After like season 4, it's kind of, or season 5, it's like, nah, stick you in a scene just to have you in a scene. So this is where like the enjoyment of his character just starts to fall for me, especially after this part. It's just like, eh. But anyway, but yeah, he doesn't want to fight for Tyrion, which Tyrion is mucho upset about. Um, is there anything you wanted to add for this scene with Tyrion?
No, not really. Maybe that Tyrion takes note again that Sansa's the heir to Winterfell, which I think she will be eventually given Winterfell, given John's namesake. I don't think he'll, given how he has felt about his name his entire life and what he's done, because he didn't have the name, and he still doesn't have the name technically. So I think he would give it to Sansa, but another podcast to talk about all the semantics of that. Take a minute.
Yeah, because it's important to recognize that she's the heir to Winterfell. And technically, John kind of gave her Winterfell in season 6 in the finale. But he's just the figurehead at this point. So now, until he ultimately kind of relinquishes that a couple episodes later. But yeah, I feel like that'll be a big thing in season 7 is Tyrion and somewhat kind of how he sort of holds Winterfell. But anyway, then the next scene that we have is Dany and Daario.
I swung a mile to get you some flowers. This guy, man. Gotta give it to him. He's persistent. And he just stays at it. Dany is kind of hard to watch her use him. I think she did it to get him to agree to go back to Yunkai. And because he was pretty reluctant about going back there. Try to draw it out a little bit while me Braun starts bowing.
So
Dany, like, I don't know. There's no foreplay here. Kind of familiar. There's no foreplay or anything here. It's just like, well, then serve me. And I don't know. Serve me.
yeah, that's
And we
more of a
talk about
slave
Yunkai.
term.
Yeah.
It's kind of more like like unless she's secretly paying all of these people.
Well, I mean, any king or queen's gonna say, serve me.
But you still have to some sort of sense pay them. Unless she's paying them in like clothing and food and shelter, I guess. Yeah,
I think Daario gets a salary.
Yeah. Is it compounded yearly or is it just a weekly bonus?
But it's a bi-weekly check, set in stone. He can ask for raises if need be. He has to sleep with her to get them.
Yeah, that's.
I'm just joking.
But yeah, basically, Dara asks Danny if he can do what he does best, which is fight and lay with women, and he says that he wants her to be and to serve her well inside and outside the chambers, because she's just all flustered that somehow he got into her chambers without her knowing, her quarters, without her knowing. And it's like, really, Danny, are you gonna play the little bit of the naive card again? You know that you like him, and you know that he likes you. So, yeah, it's just playing that naive card and almost be like, there's thousands of women in Marine, but he's like, there's none of them like you, which I guess that's to boost her ego a little bit. But obviously, she says to take off his clothes, and he does what his queen demands and takes off his clothes, and that's how that sort of scene ends. But you can probably see that this kind of scene, I can imagine in my head, and I think I said it in my video, that this type of scene had happened with Jon and Daenerys. We just didn't see it. We saw basically if you smush these two scenes together, then you get a completed um, foreplay and the actual scene together. But yeah, I don't know.
It's just, I don't know. I think it was her manipulating him, and it would be poetic. It would be crazy if Jon was manipulating her, but we won't get into all that. I will say that
He's done it before. Just saying.
sending him back to Yunkai was a good idea, but her original decision was to kill every master there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought she had already been told her mistake when she had crucified them all, and that she had realized something there. But to her credit, thankfully, she listens to Jorah. Now, would there still be insurrection if she had done that? Maybe not. I think it would have been different, because you're going to have uprisings at any point, especially when a new government's being installed. And the way she's doing it so hectic that there's bound to be chaos. Chaos is a ladder. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the scene that's after the melon Elise, but that's okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, we can talk about it. It's that yeah, basically Dario and Danny literally spend the entire night together because Jorah almost walks in on him being alone with Daenerys, which would have been hilarious to see. But Dario says she's in a good mood, and Jorah just basically says that like she can't do what she wants to do with taking the city, and that she wants to end. She says, "I will end slavery. I will end it, and I will end those behind it." But he reminds her, "It's like, yeah, if slavery was the way that it was, the way you want to do it, then I wouldn't be standing here right now, because Ned Stark would have killed me." And that's when she goes, "Whoa!" So it's like, yeah, you can't do exactly always what you want to do because someone important might be a result of you not doing every single thing that you want. And she names his Dar as the ambassador to Yunkai. So, which is the weirdest thing ever, but okay.
It's seemingly premature. You would think she would get to know him a little better and try to get to know the system, but this is a TV show, and you gotta assume that something happened in the background. We get to learn about Melisandre's potions and lotions, as you say. He puts the lotion on the skin, rubs it in.
Yeah, there's Danny after her night of fun, I guess you could say, with Daario. And the thing about just with Jorah, after she says, "Tell him you changed my mind," his back stands up a little bit straighter. So Jorah gains a little bit more confidence with talking to Danny. But jumping back a scene, sorry everyone.
It's my fault.
No, it's okay.
But
go ahead.
I can go ahead and talk about it, and I'll let you give your thoughts. Mel's taking a bath naked, so watch yourself. I'd probably leave it here. She has her potions and lotions, as I said earlier, and she's showing Selyse that not everything is real, so to speak. A lot of it is magic and tricks and sleight of hand, and just straight up science. You've got her without her
necklace.
glamour on, right? And this is a continuity error on the show, so you can just kind of not complain about it. I'll try not to. It happened. They admitted to it. Fine. But we find out here that they need to go to the wall, right? Then, and then what she say? North.
Yeah,
And to go
they
north.
go to the north.
The real battle's in the north. And don't forget to bring Shireen. What did you think, Sasa?
Yeah, well, with this scene, you kind of start with Carice Van Houten, who has an awesome body for how her age is, and because in the show she's supposed to be like almost 400 years old at this point. So nice job. And when she's talking to Celeste about the potions and lotions, she says this thing does this with the fire, and then this thing does this with the fire, which is like kind of makes Celeste like wonders like, and she pulls out a potion, I guess a potion, and it says like if you put a drop of this in a man's wine, then he'll be like lustful for you. And she asks if she used that on Stannis, and Mel says no, I didn't, which just I guess affirms in Celeste's mind that it was just naturally how Melisandre looked, which caught Stannis to give her the shadow baby. But she then retracts pretty much her thought process by saying that any act for the God, any sin in place of the act of God, is like excusable, which just shows how kind of psychotic she can be. But then they also talk about Shireen and how even though Celeste doesn't like her daughter, she knows that she kind of has to bring her along. But yeah, this you can kind of see that this is potentially foreshadowing for Shireen's death in terms of going north, taking her. Like they could have had Shireen capped at Dragonstone, but then all of the Stannis scenes in season 5 would have been just like,
No, Mel needed her for the sacrifice, the king's blood.
Yeah.
Which, it's a backup for her.
Mm-hmm.
In case things don't work out. She's priming Celeste. She's been priming them for this for a minute, I think. Especially after Gendry got freed by Davos, I think she's been priming them for this because she needs a backup plan. You had to play chess. You can't play checkers, especially in this game. And as old as she is, she has to know that, I think.
Yeah. This is like, I guess, as close you can get to looking at Mel for this scene, because she's basically fully clothed at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Mel's just playing her games, and she has people that believe her. So hey, if you had basically a cultish mentality behind you, why not play some games? So, the scene after Dany with Jorah is Arya and the Hound, and he's basically being taken care of, or trying to take care of himself. But Arya says, no, you have to cauterize the wound with fire, and he just talks about how he got his scar. So, hashtag Sandor Scar Stories. And yeah, they talk about how pretty much how he was as a kid, and then Arya fixes his wounds. So, what did you feel about, I guess, learning what the show made as his scar story, even though I think it's pretty similar in the book? Right?
Yeah, he has a bite. They won't get it cauterized. I think. Can't remember if Arya sews it up in the books or not. Either way, it gets sewn up. You can see Arya's actual care for him at this point, and you know she's all he's got, and vice versa to an extent. No, honestly, at this point, and you can tell she doesn't want him to die. You see this later. This is kind of a theme for Arya not even wanting to admit her to herself that she cares for him, and that's kind of the beautiful thing about this, honestly.
Yeah, that's another story, pretty much, of just how the Hound is the way how he is, and how um, he had kind of middle child syndrome, where he was not really seen as as a child within the family, because they have the mountains to Gregor Clegane and then his sister after. So he had this like the kind of being put in the back, kind of like not necessarily like isolated, but not being visible or not feeling visible. And when the horror, which is how he got burnt, happens, he says that his father covered it up. It's not that like that what had actually happened. So again, another lie to cover up the truth. So it's sad, but I guess this also shows to empower individuals who may have gone through similar things, that you can kind of, even though you've gone through similar things, you can rise above it. And as we see with the Hound later on in the series, he learns to kind of live with what has gotten with him, and same thing with the fire, he's gotten used to it. So it's just learning to live with your life and the troubles that happen with it. But Arya, she's like, let me just fix it. She's like, that's totally her personality, which I love. Like, let me just do it and help you.
Yeah, she just butts in and wants to do it. Arya knows best. Listen to her.
Hashtag Arya knows best. Yeah, we get Sandor's story, and it just humanizes us to him.
Yeah, this is the second time I think we've heard his story, and he actually tells it this time. In the books, he tells Sansa. In the show, Littlefinger tells Sansa. I don't know why. I guess to kind of scare her. I don't know, but
To freak
it's
her
nice
out.
here that he gets to tell her. And I know we're talking about Brienne and Hot Pie and Podrick. It's funny, if they would have just stayed where they were, they would have ran right into the Hound and Arya. And also in the books, it's mentioned. I can't remember who they hear it from. I don't know if it's Hot Pie or not, but they hear that the Hound and Arya are together. Um, so that's one thing that's different. But logically, the whole Winterfell thing makes sense here as well. And fun fact: around 70 odd pieces of bread were cooked at the same time to get Hot Pie's loaf.
Yeah.
Hashtag phrasing.
Yeah, this scene, you can kind of see that even like Brand Project, they've had a rough ride up into, I guess, the end of the crossroads, and Hot Pie, and he's like, I don't know, like winter hell. Like, he's still, even though Arya has corrected him, he still calls it winter hell. And she's like, I don't know about a person, like, I don't know about a girl named Sansa, but I know about her sister named Arya, but she went by Ari when I knew her. And it's just that callback to late season 1 into season 2, and that relationship that these characters had. Because from this point, I think this is the last time we see Hot Pie until season 7, which is kind of awesome, because he's like a character that you can almost just catch up with in like 30 seconds with his character. So, and the bread, which shout out to the actor who actually decided after his role with Game of Thrones, he made a whole bakery. So maybe this show might have sparked his love in baking, or maybe it was already there and it just rose to the occasion. Baking term, yeast, I don't know, but he did much better this time with the direwolf bread. But also, Pod gives kind of Brienne some solid advice. don't you think? In this?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really. She's just going around pretty much asking whoever. Pa's just giving the eyeballs here. He's quiet and reserved, but I think he's one of those people that he's starting to become a person that thinks, and when he does actually say something, it means a lot. Now, you could argue me on that with certain things that Pod says, but he's a very quiet person and he doesn't say many things. But usually when he does that face kills me. Just hot pie talking the ear off about how to make prey pie kills me. But yeah, he does give her some good advice, and he seemingly has some street smarts, a little more than Brienne. Brienne still has her badge of honor, so to speak, that she's sitting on and can't get past. So
Yeah.
yet.
I feel like maybe Bran still has that I can trust a lot of people motif, um, or thought process. I can trust more people than I should be wary about, maybe. But yeah, Podrick and his Podrick knows a lot, even though he's quiet. Don't they say that about a lot of people? You gotta watch out for the quiet ones.
So can I just say really quick? Your sister pinched your cock, and I, Indigo Montoya, will fight for your honor.
Yeah.
You killed my sister. Prepare to die.
So in this, basically, Oberyn comes to Tyrion and they have a conversation about Tyrion as a baby. Pretty much, Oberyn, like Johnny says that he will fight for Tyrion and he will also defend at the same time the honor of his sister. So it's a good scene. You're kind of almost led to believe that that's almost the end of the episode because of how that scene kind of wraps up, and then you realize if you're watching it for the first time, like I haven't watched this episode in a long time, so I'm almost like, why is this episode called Mockingbird again? Especially when you think that that's the end of the show. Yeah, Oberyn does such a good job, and this is where too they really show how kind of crazy Cersei is. Like he wants to she basically blames Tyrion for the death of her mother, even though it wasn't how that happened. Really, in a sense, it was probably complications due to the fact that she had a baby. It's also not Tyrion's fault. He didn't ask to be born. But yeah, it just shows how kind of crazy Cersei is. She was maybe slightly a little like Joffrey when, but just in reverse age, almost. But Oberyn does such a good job, and it kind of just makes you go like, oh yes. But also, although at the end of next episode, what happens to this man? But yeah.
She was much the same as Joffrey. Just she has more charisma than Joffrey. She's able to manipulate people and fake get along with them. Joffrey can't do that, but they do act alike. That is a very good point. Oberyn here too. We also kind of get shadowed over here. That now that I think about it, Dorne is a what's it called? Premigmature? I can't remember. Primogeniture. Primogeniture. I think that's right. Whatever. Anyways, damn it. Whoever the eldest is, whether it be male or female, ascends to the head, the prince or the princess, the leader of Dorne. And this is kind of glossed over in the show. And even the person that meets Tyrion, that is a representative of Dorne, is supposed to be a woman. So there's a few things that are odd why they change so many things with Dorne here. And this is kind of, if you're watching closely, you can see what the hell are they doing? But yeah, it's kind of my one rant for this. Even though I do love the scene and how Tyrion basically here's the story of how he was perceived the day he was born. It's a tough thing. It's a sobering thing, but then to hear that people still believe in you, still somewhat care for you, even though if it's somewhat for selfish reasons, you still have people that believe you, that don't think you did this. So.
Yeah, especially like the days. I think it was the day that he was born and then the weeks after because Oberyn came to Casterly Rock. So it's because I think at this point it was in, I guess, history maybe that it was like that he wanted to marry Tywin wanted to marry Jaime to Alia Martell. If memory serves me kind of correctly, in terms of bringing Dorne into that sort of relationship that way. But the tables turn on Tywin when he's like, no, I get to take Elia Martell and all of that. But we have to get seen, and it just sets up next episode. The last, I guess, sequence of scenes is Sansa in the Vale with Robb and Arryn, and then Baelish, and then her kind of not necessarily fighting for her life, but her being almost held and almost thrown through the moon door by her crazy Aunt Lysa. So, what do you feel about this sequence of scenes here?
One, confirmed Robin Arryn is the Night King and he will destroy Winterfell. Right here, this is super foreshadowing. Did you hear me or did I break up?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Your dead eyes just didn't give it away. And we see how much of a petulant child he is. And we see that Sansa knows how to deal out a slap when necessary. Yeah, he needs a little bit more corporal punishment in his life. I don't believe in beating children, but yes, there should be consequences for your actions, and he has none. Sansa has had to have a consequence for every one of her actions. So it's an interesting dichotomy here. You literally have black and white, or vice versa, whatever label you want to put on it almost. It's just they are polar opposites, and you couldn't see that more here. If you want me to keep going, I'll talk about the kids heard around the world. That Littlefinger. Littlefinger, Sansa, you're so beautiful. You're more beautiful than your mother. And I want your Aunt Liza to see us kiss because it's a perfect chaos ladder equals me winning.
She put to slap him in a second, and it will praise. So, anyway. Yeah, what did you feel about
finger things?
Well, look, there's Baelish. Yeah, with
It's Baelish. It's Lord Baelish. And don't call me Littlefinger.
yeah, so basically he talked about what do we do to those who've hurt the ones we love. You get your comeuppance in season 7 with that line. But yeah, like it's an important question to ask yourself. Like, what do you do to the people that have hurt you? Do you how do you kind of avenge them in a sense? It's kind of like a moral question that you can ask. But yeah, she just internalizes that almost. But yeah, and then he ultimately plants one on her, and Lysa watches in sort of horror because of what has happened, and not in the horror of an aunt protecting her niece from a person who is much older than her, but the fact that her young niece is trying to steal her husband away from her.
trying. She already thinks it's happened, and this just confirms her suspicions right here. I know Littlefinger already knows what she's thinking. Has probably heard her talking at some point and set this up beautifully to a T. Uh, Now, did he set up exactly pushing her out the moon door? No, but I'm sure he considered it in one of his probabilities, right? So this ends up happening, and this has to be scary for Sansa. She's just trying to survive. That's it. She thinks she's in a safe place. Oh, you ain't never safe. Uh, Sansa, it's okay. I will take care of you. I can't wield a sword. I can't wield a crossbow, but I can push your aunt out the moon door for you. After conniving and swindling her into thinking I love her, then I'd push her unsuspectingly because I'm a weak bitch. Yes, Sansa, I will do anything for you, except fight a duel, fight anyone, or try to defend myself in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Thank you, Sansa. Have a great day. Sorry.
Yeah, like Baelish is just he's trying to learn from or trying to just manipulate her because she's kind of been manipulated her entire life. But yeah, just to see that just kind of was mystical a little bit. But and then she she walks into, I guess, what could be considered like the throne room, with Lysa, and Lysa has the moon door open, and man, this is bye bye Lysa. Uh,
Looking all crazy and shit. I know I don't know. I guess she was going to threaten her. I don't know what she was going to do with Sansa. She was very close. All you had to do was slip one time. I know in the books, a little different. It's like an actual door uh, vertically in a wall. So it's not as easy to fall into. Now it's just as easy to push someone out of. But here you slip, you're dead. Liza slips, they're dead. I think that's why it's in the wall in the actual books is to not to be such a safety hazard. It makes a little more sense, but I digress. Uh, this picture still right here says it all. I mean, honestly, this is your aunt. This is supposed to be your family. And Franco's whining. I'll be right back.
yeah, like with Santa and Lysa, it's a complicated aunt and not niece relationship, but it's not the most complicated aunt and niece relationship that's been displayed on the show. Um, but yeah, Santa kind of holds her own, and uh, Baelish kind of comes in at the right moment and tells her all the things she wants to hear, but then twists it at the very end by saying that no, I wasn't saying this to you, but rather I was saying this to you, but it was all about your sister. And
I'll be your huckleberry.
so,
Yeah, he has to rub it in right before the end. So, that's why Sansa had to give him that whole little mock trial and make him plead for mercy. This is a mirror image of that. Yeah, it's not revenge, hey, for what you did to my aunt. No, I don't think she really cares about that, but for what he did to everyone. Now, ultimately, what he did to her aunt with the whole treachery, but you could argue that Liza possibly was more treacherous than Peter and put a lot of shit in his head when he was young too.
yeah.
That's you could argue both ways there. Me, I don't know. I could argue it both ways. I see the points. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good scene. It's okay. I mean, I don't know. Just it was kind of cheesy how you stay stuck there with your hands pushed out after you push someone, but it it was pretty good. You kind of wanted to see it at this point.
but you can kind of tell that it's coming, and when it does happen, you're kind of like, Yes, so that another crazy person's dead. Um, but yeah, it's another named character ticked off the list. If only we had kept a tally all those months ago when we started this, how many people each die every episode. But if when a named character dies and when. But yeah, we reached the end of the episode, and it's a good one. And yeah, no more Lysa, so now it's Sweet Robin's life without both of his parents. Both of his parents. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Um, so, yeah, we can kind of see how now Baelish works with now almost two children, in a sense. He has Sansa and Sweet Robin that's under his wings. So there we go.
My little sweet Robin. Yeah, this was a solid episode. Not a great one. My rating's going to be semi-low comparative to what I give. The Danny scenes were Didn't like how some of it came off. Like I said, the scene with Peter and Littlefinger was pretty good. I feel like there's a couple of things off semantically, but that's just picking at it. Overall, it was just kind of slow. And yes, I like the Game of Thrones, but there wasn't even much courtly intrigue here. It was more goodbyes and farewells. It almost felt like a finale episode in a sense at some points. It's either people leaving to set off on their journey or saying goodbye from one another. That's this whole damn episode, almost. And yeah, it's okay, but I'll give it a 7.5 right hands to Robin's face. And it's a solid episode. I wouldn't say don't watch it, but it's probably my lowest rated episode so far. They might get lower though. Fair warning.
Yeah, I think for the season, it's probably one of the lowest rating. I don't know of ever though. Yeah, this episode, well, it's kind of hard to compete with the two episodes that it's sandwiched against. Like, you get Tyrion's trial in the last episode, which we covered last night, and you get the Mountain and the Viper the next episode. So it's kind of hard that they had to do more of just a calm episode, not too much going on, trying to set people up for the end of the season, or the end of their character, depending on how you look at it. And yeah, it's a solid episode. I'd give this episode 7.5 snow stomps on Winterfell. And yeah, it's a solid episode, but it's not an episode that it's like, oh my gosh. But yeah, so where can the people find you on the internet?
Sasa, you can find me on your channel, duh. No, you can also find me at Johnny B Crazy. Also, Johnny B Crazy, capital JBC on Twitter. Johnny B Crazy straight up on Instagram. And also Johnny Bragg on Facebook. Come check me out. I'm active in spurts, but I am active. Let's see. Tomorrow, Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, the Cylon Johns and Jills, Mackenzie L. Burns, Bobby Catalano, Clarissa Thompson, Amy True, John St. Baptise, and the honorary Jill, Julie Ann 89. We will be there and be live, be ready and spoiler free. Also, Saturday, I will be dropping a podcast that I'm doing tomorrow morning with the Night Who Smoked the Laughing Tree on Hardhome. So it'll be his favorite location. Plus, we'll get into some conspiracy theories and have some nice visuals there. Also, let's see. Yes. We got the Quickie of Ice and Fire Torn Stark. We'll be out at 1 p.m. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you haven't, go check out the the first three videos in the series, Aegon and his sister wives. So, yeah, do check that out. And I think I've plugged everything. Tuesday, March 5th, at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll be on AU Pack Mules channel. 30 days, 30 for 30, 30 days of 30 live stream, whatever, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a bunch of stuff. So
30
you'll
days
see
of live stream.
every damn where.
Yeah, and also eventually, whenever we get around to it, Aenies and Maegor versus Joffrey and Tommen on your channel. That's one thing too, which we're working on. But for me, everybody knows that they can find me here on my channel. Wednesdays, we do always a live episode, barring any scheduling mishaps. Next Wednesday, we should be doing 503 High Sparrow. At this weekend, maybe sometime, we should be doing 409 The Watchers on the Wall, because that's a really good episode that we can do live. It's our first weekend live stream that we've done for episode club. Probably on Sunday, I want to assume that we're going to do that, just to give us some more time be able to be doing that special episode. Yeah, because we only got 45 days left and 33 more episodes to do, so showing up all the time. I should, by season beginning, come up with a theory that I have talked about a few of these now, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's a good one, and yeah, I also am on Johnny's channel and on Cylon Johns. My Twitter and Instagram will be linked down below as always. It's just the same username all across the board, pretty much. And yes, so with that, I would like to thank you, Johnny, for joining me today and every day, single day that we've been doing episode club as podcasts, because we've been going on a streak this week, doing one every single day, almost every single day. So thank you for your dedication and your time. And with that, we will see you for the next podcast, which is The Mountain and the Viper, Season 4, Episode 8. And we'll see you all there.
Take care, Sansa.
Bye.
No, my little bird.
Bye, everyone.